At the end of the day, I'm here to help entrepreneurs design brands that guide them to seven-figure success. So today we're going to be talking about how to simplify your funnel strategy. I think, there's a lot of people out there that like to complicate things. And I don't think it's necessary. I really don't think it's necessary to make things so damn complicated where you throw your hands in the air and you're like, you know what? I'm out. I'll figure something else out.
Overthinking and not necessarily planning correctly. I think that's what happens.
Right. So what I wanted to do today is share with the audience a little framework to help them simplify their marketing funnel strategy. So it doesn't matter if you're new to the game or you got multiple funnels out there right now that are working at maybe 50 or 60% capacity when you could definitely get them up to an 80, 90% capacity. And as branders, I think we bring in a different angle to things versus marketers. And I want to share that with everybody today and give you some rails to jump on and to sort of audit what you're currently doing to see if it can improve your overall funnel strategy goals. Okay. So the big problem here is overthinking, making things super intricate when all we need is a step or a process that's literally 3 steps or less to get them, meaning your ideal audience, to do things you want them to do. Okay. So right after this quick little message, we're going to dive into the 4 steps to simplifying your marketing funnel strategy. If you're a business owner who feels your branding isn't truly representing the value that you deliver, check out this free video training that will help you level up your brand's messaging and online presence so that you can start attracting higher quality clients. Visit www.uniquedesignz with a Z at the end, not an S, .net/level up my branding. All right, let's rock and roll.
All right, Hunter. So, okay, here's an issue that I've even run into. So I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that have happened when I try to set up a funnel. First of all, I didn't know where to start, or I was a little unclear on where to start. And then, of course, what ended up happening is that I wasn't really getting the types of clients, or forget the clients, I wasn't even getting the types of leads that I wanted to at the very end. So what's the starting point?
Okay. So first and foremost, before we get into the actual funnel architecture, I think we really need to just take a step back and remind everybody how important it is to really focus in on that ideal client. Like when you're putting out content, when you're putting a funnel strategy together, we want to have it speaking to a client versus an audience. I think when we try to speak to an audience, we dilute our message and it starts to get very vanilla and fluffy and has less of an impact. But when you have that one person, say you have a client or clients that you have worked with in the past that were just gems. If you could clone these people over and over and over and over again, right, you would. So I want you to take some time to really dissect who that client is. And then we can get into the steps that I'm about to take. So as long as we know that, we're gonna be able to dial in the message so you don't get the wrong fits. You don't get the wrong clients. How many times do we put out content that isn't on brand or isn't on topic of what it is that we actually do to serve, which then brings in clients that just aren't the right fits?
Yep.
So
They are.
I had a podcast interview with Daniel G. He's huge and he's got 700 something thousand followers on Instagram. And he came on the podcast yesterday and he said that one of his big focuses on growing his audience so large, so quickly, and has such a raving fan of an audience was making sure that every single piece of content was related to either sales coaching as an agency or sales coaching as you're serving you're building a sales agency or you're serving sales people, like you're coaching sales people, or you're an agency that goes into big companies, right? So he has like an enterprise level, but he says everything that comes out of my mouth and gets posted on Instagram has something to do with sales. So,
and it's all targeted to that customer.
It's all targeted to that customer. Yeah. Yeah. And he does a really good job with staying on track. Way better than me, I think, in my opinion. I told him that yesterday. I said, you're impressive with staying on track. I have a tendency to float sometimes, and I got to bring the boat back in to the dock, because that's where the audience is. And that's what my clients want me to talk about. So that's why you'll see like every, I don't know, 1 or 2, 3 live streams, I'm always going to bring it back to funnels, right? So the step 1 in the whole process, right, to just make this whole funnel process and strategy very simple, is sitting down and getting super clear on what you want the funnel to do. Sounds so elementary, doesn't it? But we get this when I ask people, like, what do you want your funnel to do? Well, I want it to generate leads and sales. Okay. Well, give me more. What do you mean? What kind of leads? What kind of sales? And how are you going to know? Well, I'll get there in a second, but leads. So how are you going to generate leads? Where are you going to generate those leads? And where are you going to put those leads? So for example, if you want your funnel to grow your email list or your text message list or your Facebook group, get very specific with that. Because just those minor tweaks, there may be different steps involved. To generate an email list is very different than generating a text message list.
Yeah.
Because the way they're going to be interacting with you.
Is it primarily because of the types of call to actions that you're incorporating into the message, or is it more than that?
Okay. Part of it. The other part of it is the platform strategy itself, which we'll get into in a second.
Okay.
So that's step number 1, is really identifying what you want the funnel to do. So if you want to generate more sales, how much sales? Is it 50K? Yeah. Is it 100K? Is it 500? We typically don't work with clients that are just looking to get a $500 out of their funnel, but I had to throw it out there, right? But get very specific on how you're going to generate lead and how you're going to generate revenue and what that looks like in detail. The next step 2, is to really pave your client's journey. So there's a couple of questions here that I want to pitch to you to have you keep in mind. So how does your client want to be served? Have you ever thought about that in detail?
Yeah.
How do they want to be served? Let's play.
Okay. So again, start with the end in mind. Mm-hmm. What, for me, my clients are B2B business owners. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, they want to be able to make more money. They want to be able to earn more and work less. And if they're in the trenches firefighting and specifically trying to figure out how to bring in the next customer, that's where they need help. So how they want to be serviced is they don't want to the right client for me is someone that wants to grow their business and not worry about how their branding and marketing and sales is taking place.
So they don't want to be hands-on?
Yeah, they don't.
Got
they
it.
want someone else to come in and do that for them.
Got it. They just
the
want
who,
to
not how.
Yeah, they want to know how it's getting they want to know how it's going to be executed. Yeah. They're not executed.
Yeah.
See, that's very, very important to understand. Yeah. Because if you don't know that, you're going to be putting out content, how-to content, like how to design this or how to design that. They don't care.
They don't care.
They want to know that you're capable and competent, that they can trust you, that you do great work. So you're never going to see me posting content on like how to build out a sales page. No, they don't care. They just want to know the end result. So you got to paint that end result for them and make sure that it aligns with them. Make sure that it aligns with what their end result looks like, right? So what do they want? The second question is, how do they consume information? I don't know if enough people take into consideration how important that is.
Yeah.
Where you could be on Facebook posting organically or running ads when, yes, that will have some sort of impact and reach on a specific audience. But what if you went on a podcast that was pretty popular that had a boatload of your clients just sitting in there in the audience? Yeah. You see how more like potent that is? So you have to pay attention to how your clients consume. So I'd be asking my clients all the time, how did you find me? How do you typically consume content online? And it's always been either video or audio in the podcast form.
Wow.
So that's why we triple and quadruple down on this kind of stuff. It only takes, I don't need 1,000 views, 1,000,000 views, 1,000,000 subscribers. All it takes is that one person that is hurting right then and there at that time comes by one of these videos and says, damn, they spoke to me that day and it made me want to do this, right? So making sure that you understand how they consume their info is going to lead to the next step in a second. The next thing that I want you to pay attention to, though, and you got to map this out. Like you could use a blank Google Doc or one of those mind maps if you have. You can get those things for free now, right? But you have to lay out or you could draw it on a napkin. I don't care how you do it. What the stepping stones that you need to create to get them to where you want them to go. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Can't stress that enough. No, I was going to say, I love visual mapping tools, so I can't stress that enough to go in and make sure that point by point, extract that information out of your mind.
Yeah.
And like you said, draw it out on a napkin or actually use some of these tools, because you'll be surprised how, just like you said, that's not that complicated. You started this entire conversation by saying it's not that complicated, and you'll realize that once you start visually mapping this out, you'll realize that the process isn't that complicated, and you'll continue to simplify it as you start saying, okay, well, no, maybe this step can be removed, this step can be removed, or maybe we need to come in and just combine all of these steps. And the net effect of that is just going to be a more simplified process.
Right. And so I'm actually, as you were talking, I was like, you know what? I have something right here on my desktop that I could share. So this was a funnel strategy that we created for one of our brand accelerator clients. I could see if I could pop this in a little bit larger here to get you zoomed in. Not breaking anything. But what we did was we put together 3 funnels. We put together 2 lead generation funnels and then 1 application funnel. And look how simple the steps were.
Wow.
We created a landing page for a video challenge And then the next page was the confirmation page that kind of told them what to do next. And then there was a series of emails. They got an email a day. The person that entered the challenge, they got an email a day telling them what to do that day. And then that last day was a big call to action to apply to work with them. And then they filled out the application, and boom, they booked a time on the person's calendar. Done. Look at this funnel. This is even easier. Yeah. Sign up for a masterclass. You get the masterclass replay. And then on that masterclass, it directs them. I should have an arrow down, but it brings them to the application funnel. So now they apply, they qualify themselves, and then they get on the calendar. So not major surgery here.
Yeah.
At all.
Very simple.
Yeah. And I feel like if you could create those stepping stones in such a way that is just easy to get to the next step. Think about crossing like a river, right? It's got a ton of rapids coming down it. If you had some nice big rocks to get over to the other side, you would skip
there you go.
over to the other side, right? And so plant those rocks, plant those big boulders for your prospect. They appreciate that so much, right?
I just pictured playing Mario Brothers back in the days.
It's so true. It's so true. So here's my challenge for everybody. If you can get this client's journey to 3 steps or less, you're going to see a huge uptick in the quality of lead and the quality of conversion. Yeah. Okay. And you'll be able to formulate those steps if you understand these people like we talked about earlier today. Okay. The next step, step 3 in making your marketing funnel strategy more simple, is taking some time to understand what the awareness strategy is going to be. So thinking again with the end in mind, how are we going to get people into this damn thing?
Yeah.
So it all goes back to really understanding who your client is. So there's different platform strategies for different social platforms. So for example, if you're still trying to sell through an Instagram post, you're in the dinosaur age. You're the best place to sell on Instagram? Take a guess.
I don't know.
IG story, IG live.
Really?
Those 2 features.
Wow. So it's not even integrating it into the cart, because I know there's a lot of people that integrate their stores into IG as well now.
Mm-hmm. They can build that.
Yeah.
They can build all that out to make it super simple, right? That's part of the funnel strategy. But to really sell a lot,
to generate awareness.
Correct. IG story, okay. IG live. And then you funnel those people to your store.
Okay.
On Instagram. Right? So that's the key, is figuring out your platform strategy and then executing that. So how do you do this? I'm going to just speak very, very quickly on the content pillar strategy. So you want to make sure that you have a well-rounded content marketing strategy. So what are the top 5 interests of your audience that you could speak to with ease because you're considered an expert in it? Okay. And then that's how you create your content. You make sure that every piece of content falls into one of those 5 pillars. Don't try to make one piece of content to fill all 5. Big mistake. One piece of content. Yep. One piece of content, make it super concentrate, and then rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. But keep this in mind. Make sure that your content strategy is well-rounded. It gives a nice 360 view of who you are, what the business is about, and you have some sort of personality and some sort of personal touch there, because people want to know who's behind the biz as much as how the biz is going to help them. Right? Okay. So I'll give you a quick example. Platform strategy, podcasting, right? So you create content consistently, not one podcast a month. It's not consistent enough, not in these days, right? And then where do you send them next? Where do you want them to go next? So for us, we take it to the next level, which is an assessment, and it's paid. We're not dicking around here. We only want to work with people that are serious about process, serious about systems, and serious about making a big problem go away. Right?
And they're serious about their own growth.
Exactly. Exactly. And then once they take that assessment, I now have, because I do those one-on-one, I now have a better understanding of who this person is, where their business is struggling, where they want to go, why they aren't getting there. And now I could formulate the next step, or if they're not going to be a good fit, I could send them to a referral partner and they could get help that way. Right? So that's the awareness strategy using a podcast. Right? I had another funnel strategy back in the day when I was on Clubhouse, where it was funnel everybody to a Facebook group, nurture everybody there, like do your Clubhouse room, funnel everybody to a Facebook group, get to know everybody in that Facebook group. Then over time in that Facebook group, share offers that are going to help them. Okay. That was another platform strategy. So using two platforms there, Clubhouse and Facebook. Right? So that's step number 3, understanding your awareness strategy. So let's take it from the top real quick, and then we'll wrap this up. Step 1, what do you want your funnel to do? Step 2, pave your client's journey. Step 3, what is going to be your awareness strategy? Step 4, how are we going to measure the success of this damn thing? Okay. So how will we know that our funnel worked? What do you think?
Well, it depends on which platforms you're using. I mean, of course, if you're using like something like ClickFunnels, I use something called Sharpspring. As the leads are showing up, we're able to lead score. We're able to figure out exactly what channels that are coming through and what the opportunity size looks like in terms of dollar amount. What's actually converting, what's not. So I'll actually, at the end of the day, we'll actually be able to figure out where the holes in that funnel are. I like to call them perforations in the funnel, and figure out exactly what's working and what's not, unless we can go back and figure out how to close those gaps.
I love that. And do you know, based on, because I know you've been using Sharpspring not so long, right?
Yeah, it's been it's going to be almost a year now.
Oh, it's almost a year. Wow, I didn't realize it was. Jesus.
Yeah.
So
about 2-3 months away.
That's crazy. So my question is, when you see those holes or those leaks, why are they leaking? Like, have you determined what those leaks are? You kind of went black on me over here.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I can still hear you though. I can still hear you. There you go.
Okay.
Come down a little bit.
Not something you want. Yeah.
There we
Not
go.
something you want to happen in the middle of a live. Okay.
Right.
So,
Okay.
So repeat your question one more time.
Yeah. So the question was like, what leaks have you identified and how have you plugged them in your phone?
Okay. Right. Okay. So I'm gonna give an example of a client that is also on, so we bring a lot of clients on this platform as well. So they are, they're doing they're not just raising awareness on social media, but they've also been doing webinars. They've also been doing virtual trade shows because, for over the course of last year, there weren't any trade shows going on. So trade shows were the ones where they were really wanting to track and say, okay, well, look, we're still investing a lot of money with many of these associations, and we want to see how much business we're able to generate from actually attending these and actually doing virtual exhibitions, right? So they're the exhibitors. They're participating as exhibitors at many of these trade shows, and that's where we saw a lot of the leakage. And of course, a lot of companies are pivoting there as a result of COVID. But what we identified there is that many of the people that were joining their Zoom calls and a lot of their salespeople, they weren't necessarily directing them into some sort of a call. There wasn't an actual good call to action. And I mean, to me, it either they weren't tracking it properly, or they weren't properly redirecting them to a specific area where they needed to fill out the next phase of their buy cycle, which would be, okay, let's fill out all of this information pertaining to your order or pertaining to your upcoming project, because they're in the commercial design space. And so it looked like they weren't redirecting many of those prospective buyers into a specific area to collect that information so that they can continue to put them further down the line. I mean, what's the purpose of actually having or participating in that trade show or even the virtual trade show without doing that? They would do that at the live trade shows prior to that, but I think there was some sort of a gap while they were actually doing this virtually.
Yeah, and you can't take for granted, you can't take for granted a strong call to action. I mean,
yeah,
you think that it's like the obvious thing to do, right? But people that run businesses, they're not marketers. Yeah. You know what I mean? So they don't know, they're so focused on creating, their unique ability and staying in that zone of genius that, marketing isn't their thing. So, you got to come in and you got to make sure that that's there and it's clear. You can't take for granted that your client is going to know what to do next.
Exactly. And preparation, I think, has a lot to do with it as well, because, that's, and I'll take accountability on that. If I had taken the opportunity to prepare with them to figure out, okay, I assume that, okay, well, they've done tons of trade shows up till now. This is not going to be a big deal, but it's a big deal because it's a transition from a live space to a virtual space. I mean, think about just how a lot of companies had to transition from having to work in a live area to now virtual teams, and how that transition. So I'm sure that may have had an impact on that as well.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, way to identify and way to course correct. Like that's the key to optimizing your funnel and simplifying it down. So last question, again, how are you going to measure the success of this funnel? So how are you going to know the funnel worked? Get specific. If you're trying to generate more subscribers to an email list, well, how many subs do we want? All right. Because again, we have to track this. Otherwise it's, this is all fluff, right?
That's right.
What about autonomous lead conversion? What does that mean? Right. I was talking to a client the other day, and we're helping them with their onboarding process. So basically, once he doesn't want to talk to anybody unless they're super, super qualified. So the onboarding process actually starts before the client pays. So there is a series of little micro commitments that prospect needs to go through. And it's fast. It's fast. It's not like jumping through hoops of flames. It's very fast. And at the end, my client has a better understanding now if that person's going to be a fit. He basically takes them through, he basically qualifies the business size and the personality of the business owner in 4 minutes through just a series of questions. Right?
That's sufficient.
Yep. And that's it. So the qualifying process is huge, right? So, all right. So now you have 10 qualified clients a month versus 20 unqualified clients a month. That's a funnel win.
Yeah.
That's a funnel win. Right? And if funnels can ultimately help you level up your pricing, it'd be huge. That's another way to measure success. So here's my big question for you, and this is why I put this whole video together, is are you delivering a first-class experience with your funnels? Yes or no? Because if you're looking for first-class clients, you need to be first-class yourself. You wouldn't want to get on a first-class flight and be ignored for 6 hours, would you? So don't.
Not unless I'm sleeping.
Unless it's a red eye, right? Yeah. Right. So that's something that we really need to pay attention to, from the look, the feel, the experience, everything. You know, if I'm coming to a spammy looking funnel, I'm out. I am out. Or if I'm coming to a funnel that's got all these arbitrary steps, I'm out. I don't got time for that.
You don't want to look like a fly-by-night company, especially if you're intending to run a sustainable business for the long run.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. So I hope you guys can now visualize the process of simplifying the funnel. If you do the legwork up front, follow this framework, it's going to make things a lot easier. And you start to do this once, twice, 3 times, you're going to be able to do it with your eyes closed. Or now you have a framework to give your team to work with, or you just come and hire me.
You know, one thing on pricing, sorry to cut you off.
No, go.
So there's something you said that you can elevate your pricing, and the only way that you can elevate your pricing, or you can raise your pricing, is if you have a lot of opportunities showing up in your funnel. And we both attended Chris Doe's IG Live last night, and that was something that he was talking about. How there's like this opportunity ratio, there's like project to opportunity ratio, and so that really just stuck out to me. I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If you have a lot more opportunities showing up, and you can only take on and you only fulfill 2 out of 5 of those or 10 of those opportunities, you have more leverage. Yeah. Versus if you only have 2 opportunities showing up and you can take on 5, or you just have nothing, no projects or no product fulfillment up till that point, you're lesser advantage. You're at a disadvantage.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what.
Take whatever you can.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. That's in your mind, in my opinion. Yeah. That is all manifested in your mind.
Right. But I think what the context there was that it was a matter of urgency. It was a matter of being able to generate revenue. So for a business that's starting up, absolutely, there's a lot of, I posted something about this, about confidence and anxiety. But I think what may happen there is that there's anxiety leading from a financial constraint from the business owner standpoint. And they need to be able to fulfill orders. The only way that they'll be able to fulfill orders is if they actually have opportunities showing up in their funnel. So, right. So it's right. Exactly. So it's all of the steps that you talked about earlier on. If you have those steps in line, then of course you're now increasing your ability and you're increasing your likelihood of getting the right opportunities in multiples, rather than just a few trickling down and you're taking whatever you can get to ramp up your
That's
business.
why it's so important to have a brand strategy. It's so important to have a marketing strategy, and it's so important to have a business growth strategy.
Yeah.
And that's what we put together for our brand accelerator clients, because if they don't have that, just go ask the people that don't have a plan of attack, and see where their mindset's at, see where their business is at. Right. You know, business is constantly evolving. Their markets are constantly evolving. And if we're not adapting every 6 months, if not more or sooner, then we get lost and we get shipped off. You know, exactly. So what I do is I create these frameworks that, if used properly, and obviously I give them direction on how to use it, but they walk away with a brand strategy framework, a marketing strategy framework, and a business growth strategy framework. Well, damn, that's like 3 recipe books right there. Wow. That all we need to do is plug and play different things as the market shifts. You know, obviously you're a business owner, so you're paying attention to market shifts. Okay, now that Clubhouse is in, here, how do we plug a Clubhouse strategy into this framework, right? And that's what we did with a few clients the first and second quarter of this year. So having that is so huge. Even in my own business, you know, we have content distribution systems. So once I get done with this video, it gets sent to Pam, my project manager, and she sends it down the chute. And there's like 5 people that touch it before it goes out on multiple platforms. I just have to sit here and record this. That's my responsibility. That's my unique ability. That's my zone of genius. I'm not doing all that other stuff. So that's how I've developed my brand identity process and my funnel building process. And that's how you're able to scale, if you will, but at the same time, get things done a hell of a lot more efficiently than you trying to hire 17 different designers on Fiverr and they all come back with shit. Exactly.
Hire experts. It'll cost you less, and it costs you less in time, and costs you less in money.
Yeah, man. Right. What did Chris say yesterday? What's our biggest asset? You know?
Yeah.
What's our biggest asset? Well, I got to run, dude. I got a 12. We're actually going to finalize a logo design today with one of our clients. We're taking him through a rebrand, and we're down to 2 concepts. 2. So I'm excited for this. I'm sure
excited. We're going to be seeing a behind the scenes video pretty soon on that. I'm going to see that show up in my feeds.
You're catching on, buddy. You're catching on.
I see the formula.
Yep. Guys, I hope you got some value out of this. Take a screenshot of this video, tag us on Instagram at the Brand DR and at the Visual Q, and let us know your biggest takeaway. We'll reshare it. If you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel yet, hit that subscribe, drop a comment. If you have further questions, let me know. I'm here to help. I'm here to serve. I'm here to help you get to where you want to be a hell of a lot faster than you trying to do it by yourself. So have an amazing day, and I'll catch you on the next one real soon.